my name's Danielle Kays. I'm working here for Wines Unlimited, and you're watching Still Crazy After All These Beers.
You know, I'm thinking maybe we should call this show Still Crazy After All These Wines this week, because I'm joined by wine expert John McNulty. John, I've known you for quite a while. You're a good friend. How's things going for you?
Excellent, excellent. It's a great show. We're having fun. We're pouring a lot of wine, and we'd like to see some more people, but it's early yet.
It's still early, but like they say, it's probably 5 o'clock somewhere, so it's okay for me to have a drink or two.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes, we're pouring. If you like beer, if you like white beers, wheat beers,
yeah.
Light, crisp, fruity, Pinot Grigio.
Oh, okay.
This is Pinot Grigio from Italy. This is from the Della Venezia area, which is near Venice, obviously. Light, crisp, fruity, very much like the wheat beers, the white beers that you're seeing at wine bars all over and beer bars all over the place. So,
which is what I'm curious about. You know that I'm a beer guy, but I like to try other beverages, and so I wanted to discuss for our viewers a nice transition into wine. So,
well, you know what's funny? Wine is now America's #1 alcoholic beverage, surpassing beer for the first time. So even though you're beer lovers out there, we know you're drinking wine too. So and wine goes very well at the table. So the transition, if you want to try some wines, and you can talk about styles, because you know the styles of beer, there are styles of wine. So this is one of the lighter styles of wine, Pinot Grigio. And then as we go on, we'll move up. And of course, we're going to change color as well. Mm-hmm. So try that.
Now, what's this? I noticed this is served rather warm.
And actually, the Pinot Grigio should be slightly chilled,
yeah.
but not too cold. Mm-hmm. Too cold is bad. Too cold inhibits flavors. Too cold, if you're serving really crappy white wine, or you should chill it down a lot. But if you're serving good white wine, you need it to be just about 47 to 50 degrees, not as cold as, say, most beer and most soft drinks that are served in restaurants. It's a problem because they keep the wine with the beer, the water, and the soft drinks. The English really don't get us. We drink everything frozen.
Absolutely. And sometimes in the beer world, they say as a rule of thumb that the bigger the beer, the warmer the serving temperature.
Yes, and that's very true with wine, although you can't get, even on the big reds, you can't get too warm. Room temperature is not room temperature like you know it. It's not 72 degrees, it's 65 degrees, because all the rules that came from wine came from the English. And in the English manner, it was 55 degrees in the cellar and 65 degrees in the main room of the house, unless you were standing next to the fireplace. So I want to get your impression of
this. This may be the time,
okay.
Then, right? Okay, here we go. And I got to tell you, that is very mild and very smooth, and it goes down extremely easy.
Yes, and it's that light, refreshing crispness that you want from Pinot Grigio. We'll move into heavier wines, and for example, a Chardonnay with some oak on it would be a step up in the wine categories. You're going from light and crisp to fuller and richer.
Are there seasonals also in wine as there are in beers?
There's only one growing season in wine. The grapes, the flowers bud break in the northern hemisphere somewhere in March, April. And you're hoping for not windy conditions because you don't want all the potential fruit to blow away with the breeze. So then you have what they call fruit set. And then about 100 to 120 days of growing. And then harvest takes place in hotter situations, takes place as early as August, but you're hoping to get it into September, maybe even into October and November. Because the longer it hangs, the more ripe it gets. Because you can get fruit sugar high, but the total actual fruit is not going to be totally ripe unless it's hung for at least 100 to 110 days.
All right, let's move on to another one then. This was really good. We'll put this down over here right now. And what do we have now? Obviously, we have a red.
Yes, we have a red. This is a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo.
Same to you, pal.
Yes, made by a company called Cantina Zaccanini. This is, I call it the beast that ate the East, because we're going to sell 35,000 cases of this in New York and New Jersey, so it's a real monster. And it's in every store, everywhere, and the price range varies from as low as $10.99 to as high as $15.99. But this is a soft, easy, very affable red. It's not one of those big butch macho. This is a wine that goes down very smooth, very easy. And that's part of the appeal. That's why it sells so well, is because the American consumer gets it. There's no bite, there's no harsh finish, and it's got a cute bottle with a little twig on it. And everybody remembers the twig. So
it's also a good selling point, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So here it is. It's got it all.
I have to tell you, one thing that I've always been impressed by you is that you don't necessarily say that a real expensive bottle of wine is always the best. You like to find bargains for your people.
Absolutely. You know, I had a store for 7 years in Cherry Hill. I now sold my liquor license to Wegmans. Amen. But my wheelhouse was $8 to $18. That's what I specialized in, because I knew that the consumer, if it got above $20, they started to get T-Rex arms. They couldn't reach for things. So, you know, $8 to $18, they could pile it into the cart and bring it up to the counter.
How about we take a taste of this one now? Okay. And again, very smooth, goes down real well. A little more, I guess, fruitiness.
Well,
what I get from this? Yeah, richer.
Fruitier. Well, red fruits. You know, the Pinot Grigio is going to be light and crisp. This is going to have that silky red fruit flavors, strawberries, raspberries. You know, just and a creaminess from the oak, which makes it really appealing.
And I was curious. There used to be, and I don't know if it still exists, the so-called rule about whites with certain foods and reds with certain foods. Does that still exist?
No, it's nonsense. You know, and what we found out, it's, you know, the protein doesn't matter, because you can cook a tuna steak exactly the way you would cook a filet mignon. It's what you do to it that dictates what wine should go with it. So if you have a mango salsa on your fillet, then you're probably leaning in the direction of a white wine, even though it's red meat. If you have a heavy reduction, a veal reduction on your tuna steak sauce, then you're probably going to lean towards a red, even though it's a fish. White flaky fish, the light white flaky fish, if you do it with called Provençal, which is adding either capers or olives, garlic, and or tomatoes. So you've added acid, bitterness, and saltiness. Big red wines will go with those white flaky fish. So yes, can you eat sushi and have big red wines? The answer is yes.
This is a very drinkable wine, by the way. This could get me in deep trouble, I'll tell you that right now.
It's delicious, and that's why we sell a ton of it.
Let's move on to our third and final selection for today.
Here's something unique. It's a wine from Pennsylvania. And yes, we can prove that we can make good wines in Pennsylvania. The owner of the import company that did the Pinot Grigio and the Zaccanini is a guy named Gino Razzi. What I'm holding here is the Cab Reserve from his Penns Woods winery. Craig Laban from the Philadelphia Inquirer came to the winery, tasted wines with Gino, and did a cover story on the food section of the Inquirer called A Wow of a Pennsylvania Wine. So I want to give you a wow of a Pennsylvania wine.
We're looking for it. We always like a wow every now and then, especially when it's not against the law.
So like we've been building a body. Now we're taking the big step. This is the big. This is, if you will, the wine for the porter drinker in the beer world.
I like that analogy.
It's a big, bold, rich wine. It's almost a meal in and of itself. It will work with big, heavy foods and cheeses, but most people would like to sip their big Cabernet by itself. So why don't you give it a shot?
So we're going to try this one. Thank you. Oh, definitely. In the aroma and also in the flavor. It is definitely a bigger wine. No question about it. And you know what? You brought up a good point, and that is the order in which you serve these. Had you given me this one first, I probably wouldn't have tasted the other ones as well.
Well, it's how we eat as well. We don't start off with the filet mignon or the steak dinner and then go to the shrimp cocktail. We start out with the shrimp cocktail and move on to the steak dinner. So the progression of wine should also go that way, from lighter and fruitier to fuller and drier.
Okay, John McNulty, again, tell us about these wines, where we can get them, a website.
The Zaccanini and the Pinot Grigio are available probably at all canals and Total Wine. We're all over the state of New Jersey. I know that the Zaccanini is in 30 states at Sam's Clubs, as well as it's in the Pennsylvania Wine and Spirits shoppies. The Zaccanini is a listed item, both the red and the white. So you can get those there, or you can go to our website, wherever you're living, and look up vivavino.com, and then click on your state, click on the wine, Zaccanini, whatever, Villicieri, Pinot Grigio, and you'll find out whether it's available in your state. Now, for Penns Woods, they have their own websites. It's pennswoodswinery.com. And they'll show you all the wines, those descriptions there, everything. And he makes 14 different wines. So he's a real not large quantities of anything, but makes 14 different wines, all of which are very high quality.
John, thanks for the education. I learned a lot and tried 3 remarkable wines. John McNulty, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And we will see you next week on Still Crazy After All These Wines. No, beers. We'll go back to beer next week.